I want to talk about some more advanced concepts in herbal magic, in plant spirit magic, in plant sorcery. And these concepts are deceptively simple. In fact, they're blaringly obvious for those folks who tend to do the work for any given amount of time, or who are plugged into a living initiatory stream of magic or sorcery or whatever. But we usually just overlook them and kind of write them off and lean into more basic ways of doing things when the invitation to go deeper and to get more powerful is there. And I think this happens because most of us, not all of us, but a lot of us are living in cultures and societies that don't support our visionary experiences and our forays into the unknown. And so we find comfort in doing what is written, doing what is prescribed, doing what has been put into a book or put into a video or a website or a blog or whatever, a TikTok post. Somehow we've been trained to believe that if somebody else has done it, there must be more power to it. If somebody else says that it's powerful, then it must be powerful. If we have been given the revelation directly from Spirit, then there needs to be some edification from some other source. It needs to be verified, or it just must not. Maybe it's good, but it's not really good. And this is problematic because actual sorcery is rooted in the fundamental reality of the spirits and in our ability to have personal relationships with them, of mentorship, to learn directly from their world how we as individual people can put the force, the power into work. So this advanced concept of herb magic is relationship. And I really wanted to do more of a dramatic build up to that, but you probably saw it coming if you've been watching any of my videos. So we need to be in personal relationship with the plants that we work with. It doesn't mean that in order to call a plant spirit into a charm or a spell or a working, that you have to spend a year and a day in dedication to them before you can do that. Not necessary. But you do have to be in some kind of personal rapport, some kind of personal relationship with them. You need to spend some days, connecting with them, reading their lore, meditating, taking their medicine into your body if it's safe to do so, connecting with them as they grow in the soil if that's a possibility, making offerings to them, making petitions to them, sharing with them. This is very important for the work because the reason why herb magic works, the reason why plant magic works, why this particular stream of transformative, operative magic is at the core of all of our magical practices, is because it works. And it works because the plants are people. They are conscious, wise, powerful entities, arcane entities, who, when we call on them through the medium of herb magic, they move into our lives and shake things up. They give us perspective. They allow us to change so that what we're seeking can manifest. They make alterations to the bits of information that make up fate. They help us adjust course, change path, because they're people. And so calling in an herb in a very reductionist way. Oh, Cunningham says this herb is good for this spell, that I can use this herb to get this thing. You will find efficacy there and power there because the plants are people and they're incredibly giving. But you are only tapping into a fraction of a percent of what's possible. You are only getting out of that magic the same amount that you would get out of connecting to another human person that way. Oh, I'm going to call this human person in here because I can use them to get this job done, and they'll get the job done, and then we'll be done. It's contractual, it's transactional, it's employer-employee vibes. It's not dynamic and it's not deep. when we are in relationship with individual plant spirits that we work with in a magical context, and when we are in relationship to the green realm, to the world of the plant spirits as a whole, the magic becomes totally different. Now, instead of this transactional thing where we call in an herb, we put the herb in the charm bag and do the thing because this herb will do this thing for us, is good for this, can be used for this. Now we're in a deep personal rapport. Our heart has been attuned and aligned to the still voice of the plant spirit. It allows us not just to experience the blessings of the plant spirits and magic, but also to hear from them in a dynamic way, to enter into conversation with them so that we are learning, we are healing, we are adjusting, we're getting revelation about how we got into the situation we're in the first place, where things are going to go and why. We get initiations. The work trickles over from whatever the focal area of our life is into every single part of our life. We invite the medicine to be truly holistic, truly systemic. So the relationship aspect of this work is at the root of true sorcery, true visionary, true herb-wise practice. And when it's just textbook, when it's just, oh, the book said that this herb can be used for this spell, we're still technically doing plant spirit work, but we're not aware of it. We're not conscious of it. We're operating on a lower level, and we're closed off to the fullness of what's possible. And I think that's a good deal of disservice to us as practitioners, and also a disservice to the persons of the plant spirit. Being summoned and called on willy-nilly by people who don't repay what's being given, they don't enter into reciprocity, they don't have a deeper connection. We're very fortunate that the plants are so giving, because if it's other spirits treated that way, bad things will happen. The plants are very forgiving for the most part. Some of them will let you have it. Generally are more baneful allies. They don't want to be treated that way. So invoking them with connection, with reciprocity, with giving to them first before we ask them to give to us, by acknowledging how much they already give, and doing some preparatory work before we go into these ritualistic spaces, these magical spaces, is very important. It's good to understand, it's good to know, and then to understand that when you roll a candle in a dried herb, put it, tuck an herb into a sachet or a charm bag, strew a dried herb or fresh herb on your altar, carry an herb on your person with magical intent being the force that pierces the veil, that moves through the world. When you do that, it is an active invocation. You are invoking the spirit of that plant, because one of the mysteries of the plant spirits is that when we work with their dry, preserved, lifeless, seemingly lifeless plant material, when you harvest a bit of plant material and dry that material out and then work with that material in magic, you are in direct contact with the plant spirit. That once the spirit has moved through, has inhabited that material, that has an intrinsic connection to them forever. So when you go to the herb shop and you buy some bulk dried bay leaves for your spell, right? You are in direct connection to the bay spirit, to the spirit of bay laurel, if you have the ability to make that connection. And so in a ritual context, tucking that leaf into a charm bag or burning that leaf on a hot incense coal in a ritualistic, intentional way is an invocation. It's a mild invocation, but an invocation nonetheless. And we need to be aware that when we're invoking spirits in this way, to what I call a cold room and an empty table, there's nothing in it for them. We haven't participated in the sacred cycle of reciprocity. We're just taking, we're just asking for things to be done from us. there is a certain long-term toxicity that comes from that kind of work, and an alienation from being part of nature, from being part of the endless and infinite number of reciprocal relationships that make up existence. So if you want to go deeper into your work with plant magic, herbal magic, plant sorcery, visionary plant work, all you have to do is enter into relationship. You need to spend more time connecting with the plants, learning the plants, communicating with the plants, feeding the spirits of the plants before you ask them to show up to work. Make sure that you are giving back, that you are participating in sacred reciprocity. And over time, those plants that we become very close with, our familiar plant spirits, give us access to the green realm, to the wholeness of plant spirits, to the plantness of plant spirits. And from there, the work becomes even more powerful, because as we feel called or inspired by lore or books or teachers or dreams or intuition or synchronicity or whatever to bring different plants into our work, we already are in some kind of meaningful heart-centered rapport with the plant spirits all. And this opens up the way, eases the gate, pierces the veil, parts the hedge. It makes it easier for the virtues, the powers, to flow back and forth between our world and the world of the plants. And that's magic. That's what sorcery is. That's what deeper, non-reductionist, spellbook 101 kind of herb magic is. And it, again, becomes a practice of spirituality in and of itself, that while we're working on whatever we're working on, suddenly the entire life begins to adjust. And that is where we take magic as an operative function into magic as a spiritual function. And that's pretty incredible. And I think that should be our goal, especially when we are working with the providence of spirits, of living conscious beings who are so very generous all the time, and especially generous when invoked into our ritual spaces. So, something to think about. Let me know in the comments what you think about all of it, how this plays a part in your own work, how you'd like to go deeper into this in your own work, and let's discuss.